I never thought a single question, just 11 simple words, could blow up my entire life, expose a decade of hidden betrayal, and force me to see the people I loved most as strangers. But that's exactly what happened the day my grandfather looked at me across his kitchen table, narrowed his eyes the way he always did when something smelled wrong, and asked, "Why haven't you used any of your disability payments yet?" That moment hit me like a punch to the stomach. I remember blinking at him, confused, thinking he must have gotten something mixed up. Disability payments. Mine. I didn't even know I had any. But his face was serious, dead serious. And the second he asked that question, the world around me shifted, like someone had finally turned on a light in a room I didn't know was dark. So here's my question for you. When your own family steals from you for 10 straight years and pretends nothing happened, what are you supposed to do? Was I wrong for what I eventually did to them? You tell me. The story actually starts much earlier, back when I was 12. I had an accident, one that changed everything. I don't like to go into a lot of detail about it, but the short version is that a fall left me with nerve damage in my right leg. I could walk, but only with a limp, and only for short periods of time without pain. My doctors told my parents that because of my long-term mobility issues, I qualified for a disability support program that would set aside payments for my future care, physical therapy, mobility aids, educational accommodations, stuff like that. At that age, I didn't understand anything about money or government programs. I just knew I heard all the time, school was getting harder, and everyone kept talking about filing paperwork from behind closed doors. I never thought to ask what they were filing, and no one bothered to explain it to me. My parents told me not to worry about adult things, and like a kid, I trusted them. My parents were complicated people. My mom loved me, I guess, but she was always stressed, always tired, always one paycheck away from falling apart. My dad worked construction when he felt like it and disappeared when he didn't. Money was always tight, and every argument in our house somehow looped back to bills. I grew up hearing things like, "We can't afford that," or, "Do you think money grows on trees?" More than I heard, "How was school?" or, "Are you feeling okay today?" I didn't blame them when I was younger. I thought that was just life, that all families were barely keeping it together. But as I got older, little things began to stand out. Like how mom always got really tense when mail came. Or how dad would get defensive whenever my medical appointments were brought up. Or the way they always made sure I wasn't in the room when they discussed anything related to money. I didn't realize it then, but they were hiding something, and they had been hiding it for a long time. Fast forward to when I was 18. My leg had gotten worse over the years because we could never afford the consistent physical therapy I needed. I always felt guilty asking for anything, even basics like new shoes or school supplies. I got used to being the kid who wore hand-me-downs, the kid who didn't go on field trips, the kid who always limped behind the rest of the class because we just couldn't afford more medical treatment right now. So when I graduated high school, I thought my limited options were just the result of our financial situation, not the result of anything shady. I planned on taking community college classes slowly while working part-time, but even that felt impossible with the pain in my leg. Still, I tried my best. Then came the moment everything cracked open. My grandfather, the only person in my family who had ever treated me like I mattered, asked me to help him fix a loose hinge on his kitchen cabinet. After we finished, he sat me down the way he always did, with 2 glasses of sweet tea and a plate of cookies. He asked about my classes, about my leg, and about how life was going. I told him the truth. Things were hard. I couldn't work as much as I needed to because of the pain. I couldn't afford therapy. I felt stuck, and I didn't know what to do. That's when he looked at me with that suspicious, calculating look he had. The kind that said he was about to ask a question no one else would dare. And he asked me that sentence that turned my world upside down. Why haven't you used any of your disability payments yet? I think I laughed at first, like a confused, nervous laugh. I told him I didn't have disability payments. He stared at me, frowning, like I'd just told him water wasn't wet. Then he said something I will never forget. Your mother told us she was collecting them for you every month since the accident. I remember my heart dropping, my palms getting sweaty. I told him again, I've never seen a cent. The confusion on his face turned to anger, real anger, and he stood up so abruptly that his chair screeched on the tile. He walked straight to his filing cabinet, rummaged through drawers, and pulled out copies of forms with my name on them. Forms showing deposits. Forms showing 10 years' worth of monthly payments. 10 years. 10 years of money that should have gone to my care. 10 years of funds meant for mobility equipment, therapy, braces, medical visits, money that could have made my childhood 10 times easier. Money I never saw. Money my parents had been collecting behind my back. I felt sick. My grandfather's hands were shaking as he handed me the papers, and he said, "Call the agency. Verify it. Don't take my word for it." I did, and the woman on the phone confirmed every horrible detail. My parents had been receiving somewhere between $700 to $900 a month for a decade. Tens of thousands of dollars. And not a dime of it had gone to me. That was the moment something cold settled into my chest. Realizing my entire childhood, every time they told me, "We can't afford it," every time I limped because we didn't have money for therapy, every time I felt guilty for needing medical help, was built on a lie. They weren't struggling as much as they claimed. They weren't sacrificing for me. They had been cashing checks under my name and spending them on God knows what. That night, I sat alone in my room, papers spread across my bed, anger and heartbreak crashing together inside me. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. I kept replaying every moment in my head. The shoes I never got. The field trip I couldn't go on. The physical pain I still lived with every day. The embarrassment, the struggle, the guilt, all while money meant for me was being siphoned off by the very people who were supposed to protect me. So here's where I want to pause and ask you, what would you have done at this point? If you found out your parents stole from you for a decade, not small amounts, but life-changing money, would you confront them calmly? Would you report them? Would you cut them out? Before I tell you what I did, I want you to really think about it. Imagine being in my shoes, limping through life while the people you trusted pocketed the support that was meant to help you walk without pain. Comment below what you would have done, because even now, I still question whether I chose right. The next day, I confronted them. I didn't go in yelling or accusing. I walked into the living room holding the stack of papers, sat down across from them, and asked, "Why did you take my disability payments?" My mom froze. My dad pretended not to know what I was talking about, but his eyes gave him away. My mom started rambling immediately, talking about bills, about keeping the lights on, about how family money is shared. I listened. I let her talk. But when I asked her why none of that money went toward my medical care, why we skipped therapy, why I wore worn-out shoes, why I suffered daily pain, she had no answer. My dad finally cracked and said, "We deserved some compensation for taking care of you." Compensation. Like I was a burden they needed to profit from. Hearing that word made something inside me go cold and sharp. I told them I was reporting it. That I was going to the agency, that I was going to press charges, that I was going to reclaim whatever I could. My mom burst into tears, begging me not to. She told me I'd ruin our family, that I was being dramatic, that it wasn't as bad as it looked. My dad told me I was ungrateful, that without them I'd be nothing. They tried guilt, threats, manipulation, every tactic in the book. But I had spent 10 years limping because of them. 10 years suffering while they collected checks in my name. And for once in my life, I chose myself. I went through with it. I reported everything. The investigation took months, but the truth came out. They had spent nearly all of it. Vacations I never went on, gadgets I never used, repairs for Dad's truck, shopping sprees Mom said were gifts from friends. They didn't deny it once confronted by officials. They couldn't. The paper trail was too clear. In the end, they were ordered to pay restitution, had restrictions placed on future financial access to government programs, and the trust fund that should have existed for me was officially transferred into my name, what little was left of it. The aftermath was messy. My parents cut me off, blocked my number, told relatives I had betrayed them. Some family members sided with them. Others stayed quiet. But my grandfather, he became my rock. He helped me find a new doctor, helped me start therapy again, and helped me get back on my feet, figuratively and literally. He told me something I'll never forget: doing the right thing will rarely make everyone happy, but it will let you sleep at night. And he was right. The process was painful, and there were nights I questioned if I'd gone too far, if I had destroyed my family. But then I'd wake up, put weight on my damaged leg, feel the ache, and remember the truth: they had destroyed our relationship long before I ever reported anything. Today, I'm doing better. I'm still healing, physically and emotionally, but for the first time, I'm actually getting the care I needed years ago. I'm living with my grandfather now, and I'm rebuilding my life piece by piece. I'm learning that family isn't defined by blood, it's defined by loyalty, honesty, and love. And sometimes the people who share your DNA are the ones who hurt you the most. So if you were on my side, if you think I did what I had to do, please like this video. Subscribe for more stories like this. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were me? Because honestly, I'm still trying to make sense of it all. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you all in the next story.